A pleasant good day. It's Thursday, the 27th day of January. It's Wednesday, the 27th day of January in the year 2021. My name is Christopher Jones, welcoming you to the APNU AFC lunch break. On today's program, we want to look at the development situation in the Region 1, Berimo-Waini region, in which details based on information coming to hand, century-old rubber trees are about to be cut down, and that exercise would have commenced sometime this morning. We will be having three guests, which includes members of Parliament, Mr. Vincent Henry from Region 9, a Member of Parliament, Mr. Ronald Cox from Region 1, and Mr. Ricky Ramsuru. Some of the gentlemen are part of the APNU AFC cluster, which represents agriculture, environment, fishery, forestry, and governance. This is Lunch Break. All right, good day again. Welcome to the program. I'm joined now by MPs Ricky Ramsuru, Vincent Henry, and Ronald Cox. Gentlemen, good day. Welcome to the program. All right, so Ronald, just unmute your microphone. Ricky as well.
Hi, Chris. Great. Good day. Thank you for having us.
All right. So, Ronald, let me start with you. You are the APNU AFC Member of Parliament for the Berimo-Waini region. We will have the operators put on screen exactly what we're talking about, so the viewers will have a visual. But for the benefit of the viewers, just tell us what is happening, what is the development story there in Region 1?
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me. Good day, viewers. Well, yesterday we were informed, residents of Mabruma, via Facebook post from the mayor of the town of Mabruma, Mr. Chris Bang. On that post, he stated that commencing today, the rubber trees in the Mabruma township will be cut down. There will be no more. And went on to say that he's advising commuters, vehicles, and other persons to use alternative routes, since traffic officers will be there to guide them and so on. So the issue here is cutting down of the trees. That's the development that's happening in Mabruma at the moment.
All right. So I'll ask the operator quickly to just put on screen some of those images so the viewers will have a greater appreciation of the development in that region. Now, to put this into perspective for the viewers, I want to share with you the significance of these rubber trees in Mabruma. Take, for example, when you come to Georgetown, for those of you coming from the east coast of Demerara, you will see the Independence Arch. For those of you coming from the East Bank, you will be the Independence Arch that is there. As well, when you get into Georgetown proper, there are monuments such as the 1763 monument, the Independence Arch there on Brickdam and so forth. These rubber trees in Mabruma essentially represents the same. It is a somewhat of a landmark fixture that tells you that you are in Mabruma. And more so, these rubber trees line the roadway going into Mabruma proper. It is that significant. And of course, the trees are century old. But of course, Mr. Cox will provide us with some more details on that. So, operator, I don't know if you have the images that you can put on screen so we could continue the discourse. So, Mr. Cox, for the benefit of the viewers again, tell us about how many years these trees have been in existence at the location.
Yes, Chris, sure. Those trees were planted by one Mr. Pierre, former regional chairman of the region. His parent, I think, parent or grandparent, he planted those trees. They're said to be between 90 to 100 years old. Those trees occupy the Philbert Pear Avenue, named after him, obviously, and they stretch from the Mabruma local office of the NIS all the way to the Mabruma Secondary School, that's the Northwest Secondary School. Those trees were planted by other residents as well. Not all of them grow to the significance that they are now, but those by Mr. Pear, those are the ones that are still standing. The number within 90 to 105 trees, I think, somewhere around there.
All right. So likely those trees would have been before you were even born.
Yes, Chris, that's true.
All right. So MP Ramsarup and Mr. Vincent Henry, I know you are no stranger to the hinterland region of Mabaruma, Birima Waini. And I know for certain that when you would have visited Mabaruma, you too would have came into contact with those trees. Tell us a bit about the news that was broken this morning about the trees being cut down. And for the viewers, this is the image. This is just one of the image of the trees that lines the roadway into Mabaruma. It's been there for over. They've been there for over 100 and something plus years. Ricky. Your microphone, Ricky. Right. All right. For some reason we're not hearing. No, we're not seeing Ricky. So Vincent, I wanna have your take on it.
What's the matter here?
Yes, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you, Vincent. Vincent, your mic. Just take off your mic. Right. Go ahead.
Yes. First of all, it's a very disturbing news to get that these wonderful trees are being slated to be cut down, to be destroyed. I am from Region 9, Rupununi, and I will tell you that I am very envious of Honorable Cox, that his Mabaruma has such wonderful trees. In Latham, on the main road, there are just a few eucalyptus trees there, and we hold them to be so wonderful. And many times persons have done work on that roadway, and they have kept them very safely, just a few of them. And to know that these rubber trees that are there in Mabaruma are to be cut down is really sad news. First of all, for the environment, that's sad, because these trees are there and they're helping to give us oxygen, helping to make the environment become better. And all over the world, the nations now understand and know that trees are very important in our lives. They help to keep us alive, actually, and we should care them instead of destroy them. I also look at the picture and I see the beauty of it all there. It's so beautiful to see those trees all in a line. And I'm sure, like you said before, that it's a kind of a landmark, and it's a kind of a significant, because it tells us that this is Mabaruma. I wish we had these trees in Region 9 and we would care them we would just care them and love them. And I do not really understand the rationale for cutting them down. Why are you cutting them down? Why can't you build a road on the other side of these trees? Allow these trees to keep standing. Allow tourists to come and see them. As I watch the picture, I would like to come one day to see those trees standing. I personally am planting some trees that have been all cut down in Region 9 in some places, like the Mora and the Crabwood, we should be planting trees and not destroying them, Chris. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Mr. Henry. Now I know that sometime last year there was a petition of some sort by the residents there in Mabaruma not to have those trees cut down. I know MP Ramsarup, you were following that story. So you want to walk us through that, please?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I'm sorry about my connection. You're hearing me now?
Yes.
Right. And, you know, I recall my first visit to Mabaruma was in around 97, 98. And we went from university to do a field visit there. And those are the trees that was one of the significance for that area that we wanted to visit and check because of the number of years that it was planted. To learn about it this morning was very shocking because trees not only there for a significant purpose of the person who planted there, but it beautifies the area. It makes it becomes like as you said earlier, like a mark for Mabaruma. And it's quite distasteful and horrible to see that you're going to cut down trees like that. Because if you look at the pictures that you put up there, the trees there are very unique. It's not only provide beautification, but it also provides shades. Yeah. Now, the lame excuse about this to go and cut down the trees to make it's two things they're claiming. One is that it is for the interruption of public infrastructure, and two, endanger the lives. Now, those are lame excuses because you can use another route behind those trees if you want and make another road there. You understand? You can extend the road there. But these trees here, under the danger of life, Chris, I don't know if it's a new term, this is to them, but there's also a word you call pruning. Pruning is where you can go and remove the dead branches so that you reduce the risk of them falling on people and vehicles. And that is what you ought to be doing as a town mayor or the councillors. Not going to cut down the entire trees because you wanted to create more infrastructure roads. There are other places you can do it.
Yeah.
The road was there and then the tree was planted, and that is how it's been done. You don't go and wanted to cut down trees and build the road. That's how it operates. Those things was manual planted there. Mm-hmm. And the petition is going around. It's over 3,200 now.
All right. So, well, the program is now being streamed live via Benchcop Radio. So those in the diaspora outside of UNIT via the AP and UAFC page, we'd like to welcome you to the program. And we'll have the operator sometime in between interchange the images that you're seeing on the screen so the viewers could get a greater appreciation of what we're talking about. For those of you just joining the program, we have on the program members of Parliament of the AP and UAFC, Mr. Ronald Cox, who is the from the Berrima region, region 1, in Henry, who hails from region number 9. And we are discussing today developing a troubling development emanating from the Berrima Winery region, of which the town council there has issued a statement to the residents indicating the intention or the commencement of the felling of the rubber trees that line the roadway into Mabaruma. As I mentioned before, these trees are well over 100+ years old. It is a landmark when one enters the Berrima Winery region. And no sort, well, rather you will tell us, no sort of wide consultation and getting the input from the residents there before this action has been taken. It's just literally overnight we are waiting to the news about the trees being felled.
Yes, Chris. Well, I saw some persons saying there were some sort of consultation with residents and other stakeholders. I could recall Star News dated November 24, 2019, where the mayor then stated that a survey will be done and the decision will be made by the residents of Mabruma. What I want to say is that if such survey was done, then you need to make public
The findings.
survey.
Mhm.
I'm unaware of any such result. I cannot recall anywhere where the result of such survey was published or made public to the residents. So for me, for now, I am not seeing a consensus of all or majority of residents. What I am aware, however, is a petition that was signed by hundreds of residents for these trees not to be cut down. So I am calling, well, on the town council, if they have such findings, well, then make it public to us.
Yeah.
So we know that
Yeah.
the residents are in agreement and it is a decision by all residents of Mabruma, not a unilateral decision by the town council.
Correct. No, I have seen earlier that there is a petition, an online petition, which started sometime last year. As of today, that petition has some 3,200 residents there in Mabruma have signed, as you mentioned, not to have those trees fell. Now, in terms of environmentalists and so forth, I know over a period of time we have been seeing pronouncements from such persons as Arjun, for example. But on this particular matter, I haven't seen any statement, any pronouncement from her. I don't know if by chance she's unaware of what is happening there. But how worried are you, being a resident there in Mabruma, that, as we mentioned, literally overnight, yourself and the other residents there have awoken to this statement from the the municipality that they will be felling the trees? You're currently out of the region because I know you have to attend the parliament tomorrow. And are you worried that by when you get back in there, those trees could be gone?
Yes, Chris, most certainly. I want to say that my personal opinion on this whole development is that there are some trees that are in the path of the road, which narrows in some instances. My take on it was we can cut those trees, which is just a few. But to completely take down all trees, all 100 plus trees, I don't think that's the best we can do. My proposal to the council then was to make the back road an alternative road, or to make them single lane road, one-way road. So you can have driving up one way and coming across, you go on the other way. So if the issue is the road is too narrow to accommodate vehicles passing each other, well, then narrow the road. No, sorry, leave the road and use the back road, upgrade the back road to another access road. The other suggestion to them was develop what I call a Mabruma Rubber Tree Maintenance Department. These persons will be responsible for trimming trees, those that pose some sort of threat to residents and vehicles. You trim them, you check them occasionally if those that are hollow because of the number of years they're there, well, then those can be cut down. But to completely take out the entire landscape of Mabruma, then in my opinion, that's not the best option at this time. It lacks what we call environmental leadership. And it comes at a time when the world is willing to pay Guyana to upkeep its forests. And so for me, it's a sad day, yes. As I was leaving this morning, I was thinking, within the days I'm in Georgetown and returning during the weekend, it would be like I'm not returning to Mabruma. I'm not returning to another area or another location. because it will definitely not be the site that I left this morning.
Exactly. Now, has there been any erection of a billboard which illustrates the reason for the felling of the trees? Yeah, to show this new road that is going to be built, anything of that sort?
No, Chris, I cannot recall seeing one. I cannot recall seeing anything to that effect anywhere within the township of Mabruma.
Yeah. I'm glad you actually mentioned the fact that the closure of vehicular traffic will have to use an alternative road. So there is an alternative road, and like you rightfully mentioned, there is the option of creating a one lane which will go through the trees, as seen there, as currently is, and the second lane will go back of the buildings that you're seeing there. That is an option. You rightfully mentioned, indeed, Guyana is one of those countries professed to be a green economy in terms of having our standing trees, and many countries such as Norway paid Guyana to ensure that we keep our trees standing. This is a complete departure from that.
Yes, Chris, certainly, and that's sad. Yes, like I was saying, if you look on the photo, on the right side of that photo, there is the back road, the back of those buildings, and that's the road that the vehicles will have to use while these trees are being felled.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's not usable; it just needs some upgrading. And we were even suggesting that this become a single lane, one way, and you develop pedestrian walkways at the side of the trees, so you don't have to have persons walking where the vehicles are passing. There are other proposal. I remember the previous ministry, then Ministry of Public Infrastructure, was not in favor of the cutting down of those trees, and they have proposed an alternative idea for road expansion without destroying the trees. I want to know what has become of those proposals. I also would like to know what is the present Minister of Public Works, the Honorable Juan Edgel. I want to know what is his take on this issue. Was his ministry consulted? Did he give an advice? Did he ask them to shelve the proposal of the then Ministry of Public Infrastructure? What is his take?
Yeah.
Or is it just or is it they just gonna leave it and blame it on the town council for making such decision? So I hope that by the end of today he will come out and make some
statement
on the issue or some statement, and so we know, well, this is a decision also taken by central government and not just the Mabruma Town Council.
Correct. But I mean, from all that you said, it seems that this is just an arbitrary decision on the part of the Mabruma municipality. It appears clearly that there have been no consultation with the residents there, no consultation with the regional body there, nor even the Ministry of Works. So is it that just the mayor has his own interests, or the municipality have their own interests in the felling of these trees? I'm happy we have Mr. Vincent Henry, who's back now with us, because I shared with him earlier that some years ago, when I was in the Region 9 area, Atu Shao was speaking about the importance of trees, not only for shelter and for food and so forth, beautification and all of that, but essentially many of the Tushaus, when it comes to the felling of trees, they say that when you cut down a tree, the sky falls. And that is drawing references that you're left to the elements. You know, Mr. Henry, your take on this? I know you went away for a bit because of connectivity problems.
Well, well, that is true. Historically, our people, the indigenous people, always had a healthy respect for the trees because that is where we get our sustenance. That is where we get our building materials. That is where we get livelihood, and that's where we get life in general. So we do have a healthy respect for our trees, and we, if you notice, also we do something called we do farming where we cut down, but we allow the farms, indigenous people allow the farms to grow back.
Yeah.
They don't cut and cut and cut every year. They allow it to grow back after using it for a while, and that is the way we manage to keep it ongoing and have the trees there. But what I would say also, Chris, is that some years ago in Latam, there was an REO, a PVP REO actually, who came in there. And one of the first things he wanted to do was to cut down the leguminous trees. There are some big ones around in Latam there, in a certain area. He wanted to cut them down, even though they were not really even near the road or anywhere else. He had an idea that he should chop them down because they were too big and etc. etc.
Yeah.
But Mrs. Shirley Melville, the then Honorable Shirley Melville, she was a parliamentarian. She and others, including myself, we stood up against it. Eventually, he had to do just chopping off of some leaves, some branches, and things like that. And the trees are still there, standing up to now. And then, quite recently, when Latem became a tongue, the then mayor, Mr. Beckles, and others were doing enhancing of the area, and there was one place where they were planting some grass to enhance the look and everything else. And the then PPP again, they were against it. They said that they were wasting money, etc. These people do not understand the importance of having the environment being kept in a sustainable manner. They don't understand the importance of enhancing the environment for tourism, which is a big thing in Region 9. I notice they are saying tourism is one of the biggest things in the country for our future. But for us to have tourism to become bigger and greater, we have to ensure that we keep those landmarks. We have to ensure we have stories that are being told to the tourists. We have to ensure that we have also new landmarks being created and not being stuck in a way that we're seeing that the environment is not important. And that is what the PPP is doing. They're actually telling us that the environment is not important, but it is so important and crucial, not only to the indigenous people, but to the whole of Guyana and the world at large, Chris.
Yeah. Terrible. Indeed, a very sad day indeed. I mean, we're looking there, viewers. Those are the rubber trees, some of which are over 100 years old, planted many moons ago by the indigenous residents there in Mabaruma. Just this morning, the residents there in Mabaruma and all Guyana were awakened to a pronouncement by the municipality that as of today, those will be the felling of those trees. As Mr. Ronald Park, who is a regional member of parliament for the region, indicated that there have been no consultation and a resolution, if any, to the felling of those trees. It's just essentially the residents who are awoken this morning to the news that those trees will be felled. As I mentioned before, these are landmarks. This is essentially an iconic view. This is what you see when you enter Mabaruma. When you enter Georgetown, there is the Independence Arch, the 1763 Monument, and so forth. This is part of our heritage. This is part of our culture. These trees are so significant. I can't understand. It boggles the mind that a municipality will just wake up one day and decided, listen, these trees which have been standing for over 100 years, which is a landmark for Mabaruma, for the township, that we would just simply cut all of them down. So you can make way for a road to be built. And mind you, they closed off this road which runs through the trees, and their residents utilize a back road. So there is already an alternative road that could be used. And as MP Cox mentioned, they can use the road that goes through the trees as a one-way road and build a second way on the back of the buildings that are there. We haven't seen, as I mentioned before, there is Miss Arnett Arjun, who I know is one person who's big on environment and the protection of the environment, animal species and everything alike. But I have not seen any pronouncement from her as it relates to the felling of these over 100-year-old trees there in Mabaruma. It's worrisome. MP Cox, I don't know what action the resident. I mean, for example, I'll tell you plain and straight, because I'm a lover of trees of all sorts. And if I was in your region, and I'm pretty certain that if you were in the region and not outside because you have to attend Parliament tomorrow, is that likely you would have been out there with people protesting to stop the felling of any of the trees until there can be proper consultation and an agreement as to how you move forward.
Yes, Chris. Yes, Chris. Certainly, certainly. Like I mentioned earlier, and I mentioned earlier to another reporter who called to get my opinion on the issue. I told them that my position is not against totally the cutting down of the trees, but my position is I am against the total cutting down of the trees. If you understand what I mean, Chris.
Yeah, I do. I do.
Yes, yes. So, like I said, those trees that poses threat, those trees that are in the direct path of the proposed roadway, fine. They're just they're probably gonna number about 6, 7, 8, maybe 10. Well, yeah, you can take those down. Many of the residents are saying that the threat of danger is what they are agreeing to for cutting down of these trees. But again, I will stress, once you have once the town council could establish and maintain these trees through a group called the maintenance crew, then I don't think that threat of any danger should be an issue in the near future for these trees, because they will be looked at, they'll be checked daily, they'll be maintained, they'll be trimmed, and if any one of them warrants cutting down, then they will be cut down. But to cut all 100 plus trees, you are changing the entire landscape. And I like to use this word. I see someone share and said the natural patronage, the iconic landscape and beauty and symbolism of Mabaruma is being destroyed. That is what I'm against.
Yeah.
Those are what I'm against. You are changing everything here. The beauty, symbolism, iconic landscape, natural beauty, and most importantly, the environmental benefits of trees.
That's right.
All these are being taken into one basket and just emptied.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you know,
that is what
yeah, exactly. And I mean, as you rightly said, is that, listen, as far as I'm concerned, even though I live in Georgetown, but I know about Mabaruma, I spent months, years there, various periods of time, is that it could not only be for the municipality there to decide after consulting with themselves that they will fell all of these trees. And as you mentioned, because these are iconic landmarks. This is part of the culture of Mabaruma, right? It cannot just be the municipality deciding that they will fell these trees. It has to be a national consultation. This is part of Ghana, you know? It is not just Mabaruma. It is part of Guyana. You go, if you, right now, if one of the viewers Google Mabaruma Region 1, these are some of the images that will pop up. Because over time, tourists who came to Guyana and went to Mabaruma, those were the iconic pictures that were taken. You can find them in some magazine, you will find them in newspaper print, it's all over. And I note that you said a few times that the municipality is saying that some of the trees are at risk of life and limb. And that gives me the impression that they're saying that some of the trees could fall at any time. But have you seen the municipality of Mabaruma bringing in persons who have the knowledge, expertise, and equipment to do tests on these trees? Because I know people would walk up to a tree and knock on it a few times, and if it's hollow, they're like, hey, this one gotta go. But they're not the experts to determine that. Have you seen any persons in Mabaruma doing such a survey or a test conducted on these trees to ascertain that they have to be felled?
Excellent point, Chris. That is exactly my other point. I cannot recall the town council nor the RDC or anybody with responsibility for Mabaruma engaging in such activity. I can't recall any. I don't think they ever had any. So it's just they themselves decided that these trees, they gotta go.
Sad days it is. All right, so we're about program time, so I'll ask MP Ramsarup, once he clears his mic, could have a closing remark there, and then we go to MP Henry. Go ahead.
Thanks, Chris. I mean, this indeed is a sad day to see that these trees are being cut down, and I will call this a very poor decision-making body that came up with this ideas to cut these trees down because of our infrastructure. And if you look at some of the pictures, you can see there's a road network, as Ronald said, behind those trees. I know sometimes it's called like a chicken and egg situation. Which one come first? Was the tree planted there and then the house built, or the house built and then the tree was planted? These are some of the things that we need to identify. I mean, if you're gonna use these trees here to do infrastructure, I mean, it's very poor. Look behind, right there, you can see on that picture there. You can see behind there's another road network here. You can even build a road there and plant the trees and another set of trees on the side, because this is what trees. Chris, like in the US, you cannot cut the tree as you feel like.
Exactly.
There's a procedure that you have to take, and so these rubber trees, Magna Carta and Intada, are protected trees in Guyana. If you want to cut it, you have to apply for special permission. For a councillor to just wake up, as I said, tomorrow morning to just say we're gonna cut all these trees and build roads. Like when you can recall, and the PP was saying, so there's very people in Region 1, if they want to eat road. You remember that thing?
Yeah.
In the campaign trail?
That's right.
That is the way to tell the people I'm there. Now they're going to cut down the trees now that they provide a more stronger and a much more beneficial to the people there in terms of environmentally, in terms of the carbon dioxide and monoxide that is there. These trees can be utilized much more. If you look at the chart, and if you look at the petition that's happening, it shows you that these trees utilize 100% more carbon dioxide in the atmosphere than others. Exactly. So it's not only the landscape, but the benefit it comes environmentally.
Exactly. MP Henry.
Yes, Chris. As far as I understand, this rubber tree is native to the Amazon, and Rupununi is in the Amazon, actually, in French. And as I travel across the Rupununi, I haven't seen a single rubber tree in a village. Maybe there is one hiding somewhere, but none. So it is such a wonderful thing that Mabaruma has this. And it should be kept. It should be kept and not destroyed. And further, in my life here, I have noticed that certain plants which even we indigenous people thought were not as being important for medicinal purposes are turning out to be very important.
Yeah.
There is one, for example, one that we would normally destroy because they're plentiful. But I have seen cases where that plant helped to cure persons who had cancer, and it's in the Rupununi. And so since then, we have been educating ourselves and others to care those plants, to make sure that they're there because they are there for us. They were put there for us. And so instead of destroying, we should, really, like the MP said just now, we should replant. We should plant more. Who knows with various COVID that's happening in the world, what those plants may be able to do for us in the future. Those same plants that they're trying to chop down, what they can do for us health-wise and apart from the environment and everything else. I wish to ask the authorities who are directly involved to rethink this whole matter, and for the sake of humanity and the environment, please do have a relook and save those plants. Keep those plants. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cox, MP.
Yes, Chris. Thank you, Chris. Chris, I want to say these activities come at a time when the present government was saying that they met an empty treasury and there is not enough funds for other projects and so on. And I'm aware that the Mabruma Town Council made a budgetary proposal of $24 million for the cutting down of these trees. I don't know if those were approved, but I can tell you that some sort of money had to be approved because these workers must be paid, and these contractors who are undertaking the cutting of these trees, they must be paid. So you have a large amount, millions of dollars being spent to cut down trees, when you could have used those very money, upgrade the back road, as I said earlier, trim these trees, cut those that are risky, and use the money and spend the money on the development of the road and other projects in the community. So they then again, I saw someone saying that you cannot keep the trees because you're stifling development. That very road was used for my entire life.
Yeah.
Vehicles inclusive of cars, bus, tractors, truck, everything passed there. There was no issue there. Some are also saying that it poses threat. I cannot recall a significant threat or action of a threat that occurred from those trees for the last 20 years or so. So I'm saying again, with proper maintenance of these trees, I don't think they warrant being cut down at this time.
Exactly. Excellent. All right. Thank you very much, MP Ronald Cox, Vincent Henry, and Dionarine Ramswarup. Quickly on that same point that someone says that you have to cut down the trees because you're stifling development. I can tell you now that there are many developed countries across the world who have developed roads, bridges, and all of that, and now they're begging the residents there to plant a tree. Begging. So we should learn from the mistakes that they've made and correct ours. That's what is expected. You said $24 million or $240 million for the felling of the trees?
24 million was originally proposed.
Right. right, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We'll have to leave it there on the lunch break, and of course, I know my colleague Sherrod Duncan and Randolph Critchlow is going to pick this up back this afternoon at 5 o'clock on the APNU AFC's Rush Hour. But for closing, those who joined the program a bit late, we have been discussing a new development in the Mabaruma Township, in which this morning the residents there were awoken to a statement from the municipality of the felling of the rubber trees that line the roadway there in Mabaruma. Those trees have been standing for well over 100+ years. The residents there in Mabaruma are saying that there have been no consultation, if any, with the residents as to whether or not those trees should be felled. There have been an online petition petitioning for the trees not to be cut down, and to date as we speak there are some 3,200+ residents of Mabaruma that have since signed that petition that those trees should not be felled. The Regional Democratic Council of the Mabaruma region have not responded to questions that we asked of them whether or not they are aware of this. We have not heard from the minister or the ministry of local government in terms of the felling of those trees, nor have we heard from the Ministry of Public Works if a request has been made by them for that. We are suggesting that a bypass road, a one-way bypass road could be constructed, and you leave the standing road as is, but upgrade that. And as MP Cox point out, those trees that will stand in the way of the one-lane bypass road could be felled, and those trees that pose a threat to life and limb could be removed. But he has not seen any expert or persons going into Mabaruma to examine those trees to determine whether or not they risk hazard to life or limb there. All right, so this has been the lunch break. My name is Christopher Jones. On behalf of my colleagues, MP Cox, Ramsarup, and Henry, we bid you a pleasant rest of your day. We look forward to seeing you right back here at 5 o'clock with Sherrod Duncan and Randolph Critchlow on the Afternoon Rush.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.